Welcome everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change. Today we are going to talk about one of the most surprising and extraordinary coins that has stunned collectors and treasure hunters alike, the 1990-60 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface looks like an ordinary penny but in reality, because of its minting errors, mistakes, and the rare possibilities surrounding its production, has become valued at a staggering $300,000 in the eyes of serious collectors, investors, and auction houses. So sit back and imagine for a moment the thrill of discovering that a simple penny you received in change at the grocery store could actually be worth more than the cost of an expensive luxury car or even a house. Because that is the kind of story that the 1990-60 penny tells. A story of how mistakes in the minting process, combined with scarcity and collector demand, transform what was supposed to be a common coin into an extraordinary piece of history and fortune. Now, the Denver Mint in 1996 produced billions of Lincoln cents, most of them absolutely standard, with their copper-plated zinc composition, their sharp designs of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. However, within this massive sea of ordinary coins, a small number of errors slip through, and it is these mistakes that make certain examples incredibly valuable. Errors can happen in many different forms, and in the case of the 1990-60 penny, collectors have identified possibilities ranging from double die obverse errors where the details of Lincoln's profile, his eye, or his inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," appear double due to misalignment of the dies, to off-center strikes where the coin's design is not properly centered on the blank planchet, leaving part of the design missing and a blank crescent-shaped space on the coin. These off-center errors can range in size from minor misalignments to dramatic 50% off-center strikes. The more dramatic the error, the more collectors are willing to pay. And then we also have broad strike errors where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads wider than normal, giving it a flat appearance with missing rim details. Another major error possibility in the 1990-60 pennies involves die cracks and die breaks. Over time, the steel dies used to strike coins wear down, develop fractures and cracks, and when these cracks strike planchets, the coin shows raised irregular lines known as die cracks, sometimes forming spectacular shapes across Lincoln's head or the fields of the coin, and in rare cases forming cut errors where a piece of the die actually breaks away, leaving a missing chunk of design on the coin. These cuts are extremely collectible because each cut is unique. Another error worth noting is the double-punched mint mark. In the 1990s, the Denver Mint used hand-punched mint marks on certain working dies, and when the mint worker accidentally punched the D twice in slightly different positions, coins struck from these dies carried a doubled mint mark, some of which are highly prized. Now combine this with possible transitional planchet errors where a coin is struck on a leftover blank intended for a different year or metal composition. For instance, a 1990-60 penny accidentally struck on a copper planchet rather than the intended copper-plated zinc, and suddenly you have a piece worth thousands upon thousands. In fact, collectors obsess over weight variations because a genuine copper planchet penny weighs about 3.11 grams compared to the 2.5 grams of a standard zinc-based penny, so weighing your coins can reveal hidden treasures. Another fascinating possibility involves wrong planchet errors where a 1990-60 cent might have been struck on a dime planchet, or even a foreign coin blank that found its way into the press. Such wrong planchet strikes are highly desirable, and when paired with the 1996 Denver mintage, they can command enormous sums. So why does the value reach as high as $300,000? The answer lies in rarity, desirability, and auction dynamics. A one-of-a-kind or nearly unique era coin from a high mintage year like 1996 instantly attracts attention because collectors know billions of ordinary coins exist, but only a handful of these dramatic mistakes survive. When such a coin appears at auction, competition among wealthy collectors drives the price sky high, and because pennies are such a beloved part of American coinage, the Lincoln Cent series in particular has a massive fan base that is always looking for key varieties, era coins, and anomalies. Another reason the 1990-60 penny holds such intrigue is that it comes from a modern era. People expect rare coins to be old, like from the 1800s. But when a modern coin suddenly carries a value equal to hundreds of thousands of dollars, it shocks and excites the market. It proves that treasure hunting is not limited to old antiques but can still be found in the coins jingling in your pocket or stashed in a jar on your shelf. Consider, for example, how dramatic doubling on the obverse could make the inscriptions appear like shadows, or how a misaligned die clash might cause parts of the reverse design, like the Lincoln Memorial columns, to faintly appear on the obverse side of the coin. Such anomalies fascinate specialists who study die states and minting processes. Each coin becomes a fingerprint of a moment in mint history where machinery failed, quality control missed an error, and a little piece of history escaped into circulation. The 1990 60 penny also highlights the unpredictable nature of the hobby, because with billions minted, it might seem impossible that your coin is special, yet these rare errors prove otherwise. Stories circulate of ordinary people finding these coins in pocket change, sending them for grading, and discovering life-changing value. And while not every 1990 60 penny will be worth a fortune, the dream of finding one that is keeps collectors searching. This dream fuels the entire numismatic world, because each coin is a potential lottery ticket backed by history and craftsmanship. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC play a major role in confirming authenticity and attributing specific errors. When a coin is encapsulated with a description such as 1990 60 Lincoln Cent double die obverse, or 1990 60 Lincoln Cent stuck on dime planchet, it adds trust and authority, and collectors then bid with confidence knowing the rarity is real. Another factor boosting values is condition. While errors are valuable regardless of grade, a 1990 60 penny with a dramatic error in high mint state condition is exponentially rarer, since most errors circulate and show heavy wear. Finding one preserved in near pristine condition elevates it into six-figure territory, and when two or more wealthy collectors clash over such a piece in auction, the final price can soar to $300,000 or beyond. Let us not forget the human imagination and storytelling aspect as well. People love the idea that mistakes, usually considered flaws, can create incredible beauty and value. A coin with an off-center strike or dramatic die break becomes more than a currency. It becomes a conversation piece. A tangible artifact of imperfection turned into perfection by collector demand, and this resonates deeply, because it shows that value is not only in perfection but sometimes in the rare mistakes that slip through unnoticed. Looking at the 1990 60 penny as a whole, it represents opportunity, possibility, and the thrill of the hunt, from doubled dies to off-center strikes, from planchet errors to die breaks, from repunched mint marks to wrong metal compositions. Each possibility contributes to its lore, and each adds a layer of fascination for both seasoned numismatists and casual treasure hunters. So the next time you handle a handful of pennies, do not dismiss them as mere change. Instead, look closely, examine the details, weigh them, magnify the inscriptions, because you never know when you might stumble upon one of these extraordinary era coins, a coin that could transform your financial situation and turn an ordinary day into a historic discovery. The 1990 60 Lincoln Cent proves that treasures are still out there waiting to be found, and all it takes is patience, knowledge, and a sharp eye, and perhaps you too could one day be the lucky person to hold a $300,000 penny in your hand, a coin that started life as ordinary but through errors and mistakes became extraordinary, inspiring hope, excitement, and a never-ending passion for the hobby of coin collecting. Next, 1998 1 cent USA coin, another thrilling deep dive into the hidden gems of United States coinage, where small details, tiny mistakes, and rare anomalies can transform something as common as a penny into a life-changing fortune. And today our spotlight turns to the fascinating and highly intriguing 1998 D Lincoln 1 cent coin, minted at the Denver Mint, which under normal circumstances is just another member of the billions of pennies struck in the late 1990s. But under extraordinary circumstances it can become a coin valued at a jaw-dropping $100,000 because of its errors, mistakes, and unique possibilities. And just like our previous explorations into rare coins of different years, we are once again uncovering how these coins with everyday appearances can hold secrets that collectors, dealers, and investors are willing to pay astronomical sums for. So imagine for a moment going through your change jar or a handful of coins received at a store and suddenly noticing something unusual on a 1998 penny. Maybe the lettering looks doubled, maybe the design is strangely off-center, maybe the color seems different, or maybe the weight feels unusual. That tiny anomaly could be the very thing that transforms your penny into a six-figure treasure, and that is why we are diving into the specific details, errors, mistakes, and hidden stories that surround the 1998 Lincoln cent, because this year, this mint mark, and this denomination come together in surprising ways to create some of the most intriguing modern rarities in American numismatics. Now first let's set the stage. In 1998 the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents as part of the standard circulating coinage. These coins were struck on copper-plated zinc planchets, a composition that had been in use since 1982 after the U.S. Mint shifted away from primarily copper planchets due to rising metal costs. Each coin bore the familiar design of Victor David Brenner's Lincoln portrait on the obverse with inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1998 accompanied by the D Mint mark, while the reverse showed the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in use since 1959. Now with such an enormous mintage, most 1998 pennies are worth only their face value, but what sets a select few apart and makes them incredibly valuable are the minting errors and die varieties that slip through quality control unnoticed. Some of these errors are subtle, some are dramatic, but all are highly prized when authenticated and graded by trusted numismatic authorities like PCGS or NGC. One of the most sought-after categories is the doubled die obverse, where the image of Lincoln, his eye, his lips, or the inscriptions appear doubled due to a misalignment between the working hub and the die during preparation, and though not all doubled dies are equally dramatic, the more visible and striking the doubling, the more collectors clamor to acquire it. Imagine a 1998 penny where "In God We Trust" appears almost shadowed or where Lincoln's profile seems slightly duplicated. Such pieces can draw tremendous premiums at auction. Another thrilling error type involves off-center strikes, where the blank planchet is not properly seated within the coin press and the design is struck off to one side, creating a blank crescent-shaped area on the coin, depending on the degree of the misstrike. These coins can be minor curiosities or extraordinary rarities. For instance, a 1998 penny struck 50% off-center with a full date and mint mark visible would be the kind of error that collectors chase eagerly, adding tens of thousands of dollars in value. Then there are broad strike errors where the collar, the device that normally constrains the planchet during striking, malfunctions, causing the coin to spread out wider and thinner than normal, removing the rim and giving it a flat, almost metal-like appearance. These can be visually striking and are especially desirable when paired with a strong mint state condition. Die cracks and die breaks are another area of fascination. When the Denver Mint's dies began to wear out, microscopic fractures formed, which over time grew into cracks. When such cracked dies continued to strike coins, they left behind raised lines or jagged shapes on the finished coins. Sometimes these cracks were so severe that they formed dramatic cuds, large blobs of extra metal where part of the design was missing, and collectors love these because no two cut errors are exactly alike, making each one unique. Then there are repunched mint mark errors, where the D was accidentally punched more than once onto the die at slightly different angles or positions, creating a doubled or shadowed mint mark. In the late 1990s, hand-punched mint marks were becoming less common as the mint transitioned to other methods. But such anomalies still occurred and make for very desirable varieties. Another rare but extremely valuable error is a transitional or wrong planchet strike. This happens when a coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination or another metal composition. Imagine a 1998 penny struck on a dime planchet, or struck on a leftover copper blank instead of the standard copper-plated zinc. Such coins weigh differently, sound different when dropped, and attract immediate attention from serious collectors, because they are essentially mint mistakes that were never supposed to exist. Wrong planchet errors are some of the most exciting discoveries and can easily propel the value of a coin into the tens of thousands. Now, when you combine the possibility of a dramatic error with pristine condition, you get the recipe for a six-figure coin. Condition matters immensely in numismatics. Most error coins enter circulation and quickly show heavy wear, scratches, and discoloration. But if a rare error from 1998 somehow survived in mint state red condition, with vibrant original luster and no significant damage, its rarity is multiplied, because not only is the error scarce, but the coin's preservation makes it even more desirable. This is where auction houses come into play. Collectors with deep pockets compete aggressively for the best of the best, and the hammer price can reach astonishing levels, sometimes far beyond the estimates. When you hear of a 1998 penny commanding $100,000, it is usually one of these extraordinary circumstances, a spectacular error or variety, authenticated and graded at a high level, being fought over by collectors who know they may never see another example. The psychology of coin collecting also adds fuel to this fire. Pennies, especially Lincoln cents, hold a special place in American hearts. They are the coin most people encounter daily, the first coin many children collect. And yet within their humble ranks lie hidden treasures worth more than cars or houses. This blend of familiarity and mystery creates endless fascination. The 1998 penny is particularly interesting because it falls within the modern era. Many collectors assume only older coins like early 1900 cents or colonial coppers can be valuable. But modern errors like this prove that treasure is still possible in the pocket change of everyday life. In fact, the modern rarity factor often excites younger collectors and casual treasure hunters even more, because it bridges the gap between common experience and extraordinary discovery. Every time someone hears a story of a 1998 penny selling for massive sums, it reignites the dream of checking jars, rolls, and boxes of pennies for that one in a billion find. So what kinds of stories surround these coins? There are reports of individuals sending in unusual 1998 pennies for grading and discovering dramatic doubled dies or significant planchet errors. The moment the grading service encapsulates the coin and gives it a label confirming the error, the market value explodes. The coin that was once dismissed as ordinary becomes an object of fierce competition. And while most people will never find such a coin, the fact that it is possible keeps the hunt alive. Another element that makes the 1998 penny worth up to $100,000 is the role of provenance. If a particular coin has appeared in famous collections or has been featured in auction catalogs, its history enhances its desirability. Collectors love not only the coin itself but also the story it carries. Owning a coin that has been in the headlines or part of a legendary collection adds prestige. Beyond the numismatic world, these stories often capture the public imagination. Headlines like, "Rare 1998 penny worth $100,000," draw attention from people who never considered coin collecting before, sparking new interest in the hobby and reminding everyone that value can hide in plain sight. Let's not forget the educational aspect as well. Studying the 1998 pennies errors teaches us about the minting process, about how dies are prepared, how planchets are fed into presses, how mechanical mishaps and human error can create anomalies. Each error is a window into the industrial art of coinage, and each teaches collectors to look closer, think deeper, and appreciate the craftsmanship behind even the simplest coin. So in conclusion, the 1998 Lincoln cent stands as a perfect example of how mistakes, rarity, and demand intersect to create extraordinary value, whether it is a doubled die, an off-center strike, a broad strike, a cud, a repunched mint mark, or a wrong planchet error. These coins rise from obscurity to the heights of six-figure valuations. Next, 2002 1 cent USA coin, another exciting deep exploration into the hidden treasures of United States coinage, where the ordinary often becomes extraordinary through a series of mistakes, anomalies, and rare minting accidents that transform something as small and familiar as a penny into a coin worth more than most people could ever imagine. And today's focus is on a fascinating modern rarity, the 2002 Lincoln cent, minted at the Denver Mint, which under regular circumstances is just one of the billions of copper-plated zinc pennies produced that year. But under the unusual and mysterious circumstances of mint errors and production mishaps, certain examples of this coin have skyrocketed in value to an astonishing $50,000. And that is why we are diving deep into the background, the possible errors, the striking anomalies, the collector demand, and the auction realities that make the 2002 penny such a modern treasure. So imagine this: you're sorting through your change jar, rolling pennies for the bank, or just casually glancing at the coins in your hand after buying something at the store, and your eye catches a 2002 penny. At first, nothing looks out of the ordinary. It has Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty, 2002," and the D mint mark for Denver, all seemingly standard, yet upon closer inspection you notice something strange. Perhaps the date looks doubled, perhaps the mint mark appears oddly shadowed, perhaps the design is shifted off-center, perhaps the surface feels irregular or the rim looks distorted. These tiny details are exactly what transform a common coin worth 1 cent into a rare collectible valued at tens of thousands of dollars, and in this case up to $50,000, because collectors, grading services, and auction houses have confirmed that extraordinary era coins from this year exist, and when they come to market, they command extraordinary sums. Now let's talk about the Denver Mint in 2002. At that time, billions of pennies were struck using the copper-plated zinc composition adopted in 1982, with each coin weighing 2.5 grams and having a diameter of 19 millimeters. The vast majority of these coins were perfectly normal, meeting mint specifications, but with such massive production runs, errors are inevitable, dies wear out, machines malfunction, planchets get misplaced, and humans make mistakes. When these errors occur, a tiny handful of coins escape into circulation bearing unique anomalies that collectors call error coins. And for the 2002 penny, these errors include doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, die breaks known as cuds, repunched mint marks, misaligned dies, and perhaps even the rare and coveted wrong planchet or transitional planchet errors. Each of these adds incredible value depending on severity, visibility, and condition. One of the most desirable varieties involves doubled dies, where the obverse or reverse design shows a doubling effect. In some cases, Lincoln's profile, his lips, eye, or ear can look duplicated, or the inscriptions like "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear shadowed, creating a dramatic visual impact. Collectors adore these coins because they clearly demonstrate the minting process gone wrong, and a dramatic doubled die from 2002 could easily attract a 5-figure price. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin blank was not properly centered in the striking chamber, resulting in part of the design being missing and leaving a crescent-shaped blank space. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still showing the date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes, with extreme off-center examples being worth thousands. Broad strikes are another fascinating error, occurring when the retaining collar that normally holds the planchet in place fails, allowing the coin metal to spread outward when struck, producing a coin that looks wider, flatter, and without the usual rim details. These broad strikes can be especially striking on Lincoln cents and are eagerly sought by era collectors. Die cracks and die breaks, including cuds, are also worth mentioning. Over time, the working dies at the Denver Mint develop small fractures and imperfections from constant use, and when coins are struck with cracked dies, raised lines, jagged breaks, and blobs of metal appear on the coin surface. In rare cases, a piece of the die breaks away completely, leaving a large, raised blank area called a cud, and cud errors are extremely popular because they are dramatic and unique. Another fascinating variety comes from repunched mint marks. Though by 2002 most mint mark punching was machine-generated, anomalies can still occur, resulting in doubled D marks where the mint mark appears shadowed or struck more than once. These are subtle but valuable when authenticated. Wrong planchet errors are among the most dramatic and valuable of all. Imagine a 2002 penny struck on a dime planchet, making it thinner, smaller, and lighter than usual, or on a foreign planchet accidentally left in the machinery, or perhaps struck on a leftover copper blank instead of zinc. The weight difference alone can reveal such errors, and once confirmed, these can sell for tens of thousands, because they represent mistakes that should never have left the mint. Now, beyond the specific error types, condition plays a massive role in determining value. Most error coins circulate heavily, showing scratches, wear, and discoloration, but when a rare 2002 era penny is found in mint state red condition with brilliant luster and no major marks, its value multiplies dramatically. because rarity combined with preservation makes such coins virtually unique. Grading services like PCGS and NGC encapsulate these coins, authenticate the errors, and assign numerical grades, which collectors rely on for confidence and bidding. Once encapsulated and labeled with descriptions like 2002 D Lincoln Cent Double Die Averse MS66 or 2002 D Lincoln Cent Struck on Dime Planchet, the coin becomes a centerpiece of a collection, ready to command enormous sums at auction. And it is in these auction settings where the magic really happens. Wealthy collectors and institutions battle it out for ownership of these unique modern rarities, driving prices far beyond expectations. It is not unusual for a coin estimated at a few thousand to skyrocket into the tens of thousands once competitive bidding takes hold, and in rare cases the hammer price can approach or exceed $50,000. That is why headlines about six-figure modern pennies continue to capture the imagination of the public, because it proves that you don't have to own ancient or colonial coins to find life-changing value. Even something as recent as 2002 can contain treasures. What makes the 2002 D penny especially interesting is that it challenges assumptions. Many collectors think modern pennies minted in the billions are worthless beyond face value, yet era coins like these prove otherwise. And it means that anyone, anywhere, could potentially stumble upon one in their pocket change, turning an ordinary day into an extraordinary discovery. Imagine the story of someone finding a 2002 D penny with a dramatic off-center strike while rolling coins at home, sending it in for grading, and later discovering it is worth tens of thousands. Such stories are not just numismatic dreams, they have happened before, and they continue to happen, keeping hope alive for every coin collector and casual treasure hunter. Another dimension of value comes from provenance. If a particular 2002 D era penny has been part of a famous collection or has been highlighted in auction catalogs, its history alone can increase desirability, because collectors don't just buy coins. They buy stories, and a coin with an extraordinary story attached commands greater respect and higher prices. The 2002 D penny also offers valuable lessons about the minting process. Studying its errors reveals how delicate and precise coin production must be, and how even tiny misalignments, die wear, or planchet mistakes can create anomalies that fascinate collectors. Each coin becomes a miniature textbook in mint history, showing how machines, humans, and time interact in the creation of money. These lessons keep the hobby alive and inspire new generations of collectors to look closer, think critically, and dream bigger. The psychological allure of era coins is another factor. People love the idea that mistakes can lead to greatness, that imperfection can become more valuable than perfection, and that chance accidents can create beauty and fortune. In a world where most things are mass-produced and uniform, era coins stand out as unique, unrepeatable, and personal. Each one is like a fingerprint, never to be exactly duplicated again, and that uniqueness drives demand. So, why can the 2002 D penny reach $50,000? It comes down to a combination of extreme rarity, dramatic error, high-grade condition, authenticated certification, and intense competition among collectors. When all these factors align, the value explodes, creating headlines and inspiring treasure hunts. So the next time you encounter a 2002 D penny, don't just toss it aside. Instead, hold it up to the light, examine the details, weigh it carefully, look for doubling, off-center designs, strange surfaces, or unusual shapes, because hidden in those details could be the difference between 1 cent and $50,000.